Welcome home and welcome back. We're at 12:22 on April the 19th, 2023. I just am partially through, probably 3/4 of the way through the Elon and Tucker Carlson interview. And it dawned on me that what they were talking about just a moment ago was about being transparent and being truthful to what is posted, either in YouTube, Twitter, or any other media, social media platform. For example, there was just a few days ago, and I thought I should take pictures of this, and then it dawned on me that it was too vulgar to take pictures of. And I have seen some TikTok, I have seen some other shorts that have come out on YouTube that are just despicable. And I don't want to give attention to something that is irrelevant when it comes to people's safety. But I will mention it. And so the other day, my partner and I had glanced out the door. We were away most of the day. And we glanced out the door, and there was this thing hanging on the lilac bush. And right now our lilacs have just started to come out. They're starting to bud, but they aren't leafed out yet. But there's this, I thought was like some blown in garbage off the street that was hung up on the lilac bush. And it was right at the gate. But when we went closer to see what it was, because like just a few days ago, I did a complete clean sweep of the properties in order to, catch up with all the winter havoc that comes down upon the properties around the world, and probably more so up in Canada, with all the garbage that is exposed because it's basically blown in or been thrown in onto the snow or in the snow throughout the year. Needless to say, this vulgar piece of clothing was left on this lilac bush. And as disgusting as it is, I will mention the fact that it was literally a pair of dirty underwear. Now that is so vulgar that it comes down to like literal harassment on a whole new level. And why do I say harassment? Because in this neighborhood, there is a vast majority of people who are in pain, who are suffering from all of the rhetoric that has been bestowed, more or less thrown at the Canadian public. And you notice this through many different cities across Canada and across the United States for that matter. There is depression, drug addiction, gambling, people losing their lives, losing their livelihoods, losing their hope of a good tomorrow. Now, something specific like this vulgar underwear attack was personable. It senses personable because, interestingly enough, in 2009, there were, when the property that I managed was purchased, the current tenants were not very happy about it because they literally were going to get their rent increased by substantial, due to the fact that it hadn't been increased in many, 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 many years from the past. So I know it's not inviting, but it is a fact of life. In order to continue with society as a whole, and in at least the most harmonious possible way, changes have to be made. And some changes people do not like. Needless to say, at the time of the purchase, the tenant or tenants, either next door or within the building, were so unhappy, or someone within the neighborhood was so unhappy about it, that they defecated on the house. That is the vulgarness that has been ongoing and perpetuated over the years. There was a time when in the same year, the following year, when a complete cleanup of the property was in progress. There was so much overgrown trees, bushes, the burrs, a lot of weeds, a lot of garbage, and unfortunately more vulgarness underneath this when it was being cut down and cleaned up. There were condoms, used condoms, there was needles, there were dirty clothes, and all of this vulgarness just perpetuated how unhappy this neighborhood is. Now, this is only over a period of less than 15 years. So what masqueraded past the people's view that caused such a dystopia of the neighborhood? And if you look back, and maybe one day I might just do this, but investigate all of the public discord that was going on at the time. Gambling, drugs, alcohol, pedophilia, rape, all of these vulgar human traits that are perpetuated by, I guess, the system. If the system is broken, then you try to break the people in that system. And this creates an awareness of what needs to be done to change the direction that everything is heading to. Now, that direction can be intentional. And honestly, this government up in Canada is a very intentional government. In order to create more authoritarianism, the idea behind these small minds and these controlled freaks is to perpetuate discord in the community. Now, this can be done subtly or it can be done impactfully in a short time frame. Over the last 4 years, since C-19, it is very clear that this segment of discord in the system today is impactful because it was instant impactfulness. The C-19, the control, the discord, the protests, the taking away of people's liberties, their civil rights, and their dignity. Taking away their dignity so that you can, inflate your own ego and maybe your bank book at the same time. This is disgusting. That is vulgar. In the clearest sense, that is vulgarism. So this is created on a daily basis now, because you can't help but turn on any social media at this point in time, no matter what it is. And I won't go into specifics, but let's just say TikTok, YouTube, not so much Twitter anymore. Thank you, Elon. All of these other social platforms, Facebook, only saying it because they are not very honest. And it is also information that they should not have control of. All of these social media platforms were being used and are still being used Here's a perfect example, me in front of this video camera right now, that is perpetuating further discord. Now, what is the end game? I don't think it's very pretty. I think it can be intentional, and it needs to be addressed. You know, at one time, Canada's reputation was pristine. We were pacifists. We always gave people the other benefit of the doubt. We invited all cultures to our countryside. And in the last 5 years, the government, the federal government, the provincial government, the civil government, and it all is government because it's all in a system that is being retrofitted to a different destiny, and it does not look like it's going to be a utopia. Right to the point, vulgarness is alive and well up in Canada. I'm Dominic Raphael. This is Up in Canada. This is partly my rant of the day, but it's also a handful of topics and news items that are making and breaking the headlines. So we're going to report on the underbelly of these stories. And I encourage people, all people, get on Twitter. Because if you want freedom, if you want your voice to be heard, and if you want to be acknowledged as an individual and a human being, that is where you can do it. And I'm not promoting it because I'm being promoted or paid for it. I am just another ordinary person just like you. But the vulgarness has got to stop, because it is only going to lead to further discord. And what is really sad, and I'm going to say it, people are literally running to the problem. Whatever the system, whatever the mechanism that is directing this discord around the world, people are not seeing it for what it is. They are playing right into the hands of the devil in Mackay. Or is that the devil in Mackay? Playing into the hands of the people who are forcing this into the public so that they will eventually be given the opportunity to, and I'm going to use those air quotes, quote and unquote, the opportunity for them to lead into a dystopia that will grant them powers they do not deserve and they should not have. So I plead with you people, everyone, every human being on this planet, child, woman, man, boy, girl, every one of you, wake up. Because if you do not wake up, they're going to run right over you. So don't play into their hands. Please. It's not going to end well if people continue to play into the scenario or into the well, now it's just becoming a rant. When you are aware, you will be free from the system and from the control of those handful of individuals, corporations, and companies that have not got your best interest at heart. It is sad but true. So, fucking wake up before you are put to sleep with their sleeping pills. I'm Dominic Raphael. This is Up in Canada, and I plead with you all. Stay well and stay free. And don't let them win. Cheers.